All right, I think we're going to go ahead and get started here. So thanks everyone for attending today. Um, my name is Joe. I am one of the account managers here today. Today we're going to be talking about, sort of a 2023 year in review and kind of some of the things we're expecting from 2024. On the call with me today from our team, we have Kyle Harritz and TJ Horner. They're actually going to be monitoring the Q&A and also handling the Q&A at the end of the session here. So I see a lot of familiar names in this call, so thank you all for joining us again for these CyberSmart briefs. Again, these are just little end user security education trainings that we provide. It's about 5 to 10 minutes of content. We leave some room for questions at the end. We do them the third Tuesday of every month, typically. However, with the holiday season, this one got moved up by a week. So, um, as always, we are recording these videos. We post them on our YouTube. So if you have any feedback or input into other security topics that you guys want covered, feel free to drop some questions into that Q&A chat for us. These messages are posted anonymously and they'll be monitored throughout the webinar. So to access the Q&A, just click onto the top right side of the Teams window, click on Q&A. Should be just in that top section there. Your suggestions can help change future training topics. The goal of these is really to help you become more secure online in your day-to-day lives. So, we're kind of looking back at 2023 today, with MFA, and, just a few topics that we've been talking about for a while: MFA fatigue, conditional access, phishing, obviously, and then artificial intelligence and cybersecurity insurance are kind of the last two topics that we're going to be talking about. So, MFA over the past 2 years, we there was a push notification. MFA was considered best practice. You would click yes or no to approve the notification. Over November of 2022, we kind of moved towards that number matching MFA, ahead of Microsoft forcing number matching in March to April of 2023, and that's what you guys are using today. That's where you have the 2 digits on your computer that needs to be typed into your phone. However, there is also a different sort of MFA we've been deploying in recent months called security keys. These are essentially a USB device that can act as MFA. You know, um, there's light but growing usage today, mostly in high security risk scenarios. Just making sure that people are dealing with high risk data or highly secure data, that they're as secure as possible. We expect the usage of those to continue to grow substantially over the next 12 months for all types of users, not just people dealing with high security situations, but even day-to-day users using those. Um, so MFA fatigue is something that is really prevalent today. So a few of you might be thinking, why did they move away from that notification MFA? I liked it. It was easy to use. And well, MFA fatigue is the exact reason why. And it's, MFA fatigue is a relatively new term. It describes users becoming so used to clicking yes when prompted if something was them that they accidentally approve malicious sign-in attempts. Threat actors know that MFA fatigue is something that everyone kind of deals with on a day-to-day basis. So they force authentication requests to users in hopes that they just accidentally approve one. We really started to see this in summer of 2022, and it's still prevalent today. It's still something that happens. And Microsoft is actually starting to take some steps to protect users. They actually made a change on the back end that automatically blocks login attempts it deems risky and will not send the MFA request to users. They actually started doing this in late of September of this year, and by the beginning of November, they had actually already blocked 6 million MFA prompts. So just a couple of weeks, they're able to block 6 million attempted logins. Um, and moving forward, conditional access is really something else that we saw the use of rise in 2023. We really started discussions on it later in 2022, and essentially what it is, it's a set of policies that can be deployed, and they're automatic and dynamic policies like geo-blocking. And geo-blocking automatically prevents logins from outside of trusted countries or locations. So for us, obviously it's going to be the U.S. where our specific trusted country is. Um, So using location logging, we can actually detect risky sign-ins and notify users. It's actually a program we wrote ourselves that kind of tails on the back end of that. So, if we see two login attempts, let's say one in New York at 9:45 a.m. and then one in Los Angeles 15 minutes later, we'll get notified so we can take action, help a user reset their password and lock down their account, make sure that they weren't compromised. And um, Microsoft will continue to expand these policies in 2024 and start to include automatic responses to risks identified by systems like the improbable travel, which is what our system is. Um, and phishing has been prevalent for a long time, and it's still remains prevalent. Towards the end of 2022, we predicted that again, it's still prevalent. It'll only increase, and unfortunately, we were right. We saw a variety of new phishing methods in the wild in 2023. QR code phishing, which prompts a user to scan a QR code with their phone and sign into a spoofed login page there. Branded login spoofing, which actually circumnavigates branded login pages from Microsoft. And threat actors were actually able to pull images from a page. So it looks like your Microsoft login. And then fake DocuSign emails or other elaborate service phishing, where again, it's just trying to look exactly like the real thing. And, moving forward, we predict that these attacks will only become increasingly difficult to detect primarily via the power of AI. And let's we got to talk about AI for a bit. In 2022, we weren't really talking about it at all. We were using some AI enabled technologies, but its day to day uses has exploded in 2023. If you're not aware of it, you should definitely be aware of it. And it's not just end users that are using it. Unfortunately, there's threat actors who are using this too. And threat actors can use AI platforms to assist in a few types of attacks, such as brute force attacks or phishing or spear phishing. Um, Disinformation campaigns where they're trying to spread misinformation about something and um, get sort of political agendas or whatever they want spread or move towards their direction. And we see it becoming increasingly prevalent in 2024 and beyond. It's a major election year. The US, the UK, Russia all have elections in 2024. So we see them just, again, continuing to rise. And one of the other things we saw a lot of was cybersecurity insurances. 2021 was really a landmark year for cybersecurity insurance providers, and not in a good way. They paid out more in fees and ransoms for ransomware than they actually took in from companies for their monthly payments. And late in 2022, we started discussion on features and applications as well as utilities that they want companies they provide insurance for to have. MDR, managed detection and response, which can give them sort of a breadcrumb trail in case of attack. Security keys like the FIDO keys we were just talking about, or other phish-resistant MFA, or MFA on remote access to the network on VPNs. The adoption of cybersecurity insurance is slightly slower than we expected. We this year we did see more companies we work with move forward with their own cybersecurity insurance providers. And Forbes magazine actually predicts that the need for cybersecurity insurance will even spread to home users in the upcoming years. So it's something that more people might see as a add-on to their insurance or a rider, or even getting separate coverage from a different provider. So how can you protect yourself moving forward? Well, password management will become increasingly necessary. Don't reuse passwords. Make sure it's complex. Think passphrase and not password. Utilize a password management tool so you can make sure that all of your passwords are unique. Hover over links and emails to see where they route to before clicking. So again, look but don't click. Click. Um, Analyze, analyze, analyze. Analyze the salutation. How do they greet you? Analyze the signature. How is it signed? Is it how you would expect it to be signed? And then analyze the content. Are there lots of grammar or spelling errors in there? Just ensure that it's actually what you expect it to be. And then don't believe everything you read or see. Find alternate resources to articles. Don't just take everything as truth. Take everything with a little bit of grain of salt. And then last but not least by far is slow down. Malicious entities know that things need to be done quickly and they thrive on that. One of the best things to do is just take a breath, relax, don't trust everything right away. Verify everything you can. So, throughout this presentation, we've really talked about what we think were key points from this past year, and we'll kind of continue to evolve in 2024. We also want to spend a few moments talking about other areas we see gaining traction moving forward. We mentioned it already, but AI will continue to infiltrate as many things as it can. We don't truly know if it's for the better or worse until the dust starts to settle. Malicious actors and security professionals alike are eager to use the power of generative AI to both attack and defend. Another area that we expect to grow that's become far more profitable is to collect and sell large troves of personal and professional data instead of just one-time ransomware payouts. That's something we've seen more and more of, where they're harvesting that data instead of just locking it or destroying it. One thing we should always try to remember is former Google ethicist Tristan Harris said, "You're not paying for the product, you are the product." So, just be wary that if you aren't paying for a service or it's freemium or whatever, you know, there's a reason for that. So, the other thing is, this can be said about most years. The combination of presidential election cycle here in the U.S. and Olympics in Paris and other ongoing conflicts provide convenient high-intensity triggers for phishing attacks or hacktivism, and larger scale attacks on infrastructure and the supply chain. That's something we really start to see increasing too, is attacks on supply chains, and that's something that we expect to grow in the future as well. And lastly, growing fear is emerging that there's just too much for users to deal with on a day to day. We kind of talked about that MFA fatigue, but Cisco in particular is really protecting or expecting that to transition to security fatigue, and it's a term to use to describe this phenomena and can impact end users and IT professionals alike, leading to possible regression in personal and organizational security. So, just keeping an eye on your day-to-day security and making sure that you're still maintaining best practices in your day-to-day lives. Um, we do have a couple of helpful resources here. TJ and Kyle, I believe, are going to be dropping these in the chat for you. So this one is actually an article from Microsoft emphasizing security by default, and that's where they're talking about blocking those MFA notifications over the past few months. And the next article here is from LinkedIn, and it's their 10 biggest cybersecurity trends of 2024. And this one's actually a really interesting read. So, if you've got your phone handy, feel free to scan that QR code, pull it up for you to read later, or that link will be posted in the chat. Um, so with that being said, I'm going to hand it off to Kyle and TJ here. They're going to be handling that Q&A section for us.